Introducing the all-new 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid, brought to you by the Drive Experience.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Drive Experience. My name is Curtis Nichols. I'm actually a professional driver in the automotive industry and work as a product specialist, pro driver, coach, and trainer. Been working a lot in the prototype field with different manufacturers and now doing some car reviews. What I'm going to try and do is give more in-depth perspective on the engineering and mechanics of the cars, talking a lot about calibration, vehicle dynamics, how the car feels on the road. Today what I have for you is Hyundai Santa Fe. This is the hybrid version, and this is the preferred trim with a trend package, so around $50,000 for this unit. So with the trend you do get the upgraded wheels, roof rack, some different sort of leatherette materials, and a few other little different options here. This particular one with the 1.6 turbocharged hybrid, both electric and combustion engines together to be super fuel efficient. This particular one can get almost 800 kilometers per tank of fuel. But one thing I just want to say with Hyundai is what they've done is this is the all-wheel drive version. So a few different options. We'll go through some of that in the sport eco, and then we have some terrain stuff as well where we can get into different modes, and it will really change the all-wheel drive system and how it works and how it will distribute power. What I really like about the Hyundai platform here is they actually have a true all-wheel drive system. So you have a traditional clutch pack with drive line itself into a proper rear differential, which makes it really interesting, as some of these hybrid vehicles now are actually coming with a all-wheel drive, but it's actually a rear motor, electric rear motor in the back that's controlling. A couple of little aspects I want to talk about. Hyundai is really good with their metal fabrication. So if you didn't know, they actually own one of the top 10 metal fabrication companies in the world. So they are fabricating their own metal for their bodies. And one thing that's really interesting with this is if you look on the B pillar here, you don't see any spot welds in this area. If you look at other cars, you're actually going to see spot welds that kind of squeeze these together and make it one unit, where what they do is they actually do this, they call heat stamping. This is going to make this portion of the vehicle extremely solid, obviously making the structure of the car better, and then a safer vehicle for this side impact. Go around the back, so a lot of space, big open door to kind of access, say, the baby seat or anything like that. This is the 7-passenger. Open up the back here. What we see is a very large opening. The way they've designed these back lights here is that they're integrated into liftgate there, and this does, a little bit of controversy on how that looks, but what it does do is it opens this space up and brings the whole section of the back to more open, and you have your big strut bar here. As a camping vehicle, we have some USB stuff, some controls back here, so we can actually kind of chill in the back and sit. And what we have is an overhang. If you look at most SUVs, when you're on the side profile, this will be almost in line with it. Now we have this big overhang, so in certain weather conditions we can kind of sit back here and have a little sort of awning aspect of it. I like the way they've implemented that into the design of the back of the car. So what we're gonna do is take this for a drive and see how it feels. All right, so let's go. I'm gonna start in eco mode. Like I said, we are in the hybrid, giving us almost 195 foot-pounds of torque just off the electric motor alone, and giving us that combined with the engine and electric to 271 foot-pounds. Horsepower wise, coming from the electric motor, we're around 60 horsepower gain on that, and that's how we can again bump up to the 230 horsepower on the combined both engines. Currently we're running in the eco mode, so it is going to be proportionally to the all-wheel drive system. It's going to be able to go from 100% front wheel drive, and it can go all the way into a 50-50 split. So that's really going to control depending on slip and steering angle and things like that. But generally, obviously, to be the most efficient, it's going to want to run front wheel drive as much as possible, and then as you accelerate, it's going to drive into the rear a little bit more. Like I said, we are a proper drive shaft setup here with a clutch pack rear differential. In the sport mode as well, it can kind of switch and gauge its distribution according to slip, like I was saying. And then when we go into the other mode, so pretty simple eco, you know, it will drive complete EV, is at sort of slow speeds, really light acceleration, and it will stay in full EV. We're not going to get like a plug-in hybrid where we're gaining a bunch of you know, a 50-70 kilometer range. You could probably get 2 or 3 kilometers possibly out of it. Really depends on how you're going to drive it, and of course the charge of the battery itself. In eco mode, you also have on the paddle shifts here, eco mode only is I can paddle to my left, and I have a little level 1, level 2, and level 3. This is common to see in their electric cars. In their electric cars, you'd have a 1, 2, 3 level and I-pedal driving, where you drive off one pedal, decelerate, compression, regenerate the car as I decel. So this one at level 3, I'm gonna let off throttle, and then it's gonna regen the battery pack. So, you know, obviously this is the most efficient way to run. It's not super aggressive. It's actually quite simple, and doesn't really compress the car too much. Again, this is not using the braking system. This is actually coming straight from the motor itself. Just gonna do a little XL here in eco mode, and we can feel pulls nice and linear, pretty smooth shifts, quite smooth in the way that it delivers the power in eco mode. And then when I back off the throttle, if I was say to jump off throttle and really again let it decelerate, now I'm in full EV, so it's running full electric right now, and I'm just slightly on the power, just touching the gas, which is obviously going to be the most efficient and most fuel efficient, because I'm not even on power. We can see I have 0 RPM, and then as I just accelerate slightly, bang, the motor comes in there, transitions really nice, not really much impact or delay in there, really seamless. Nice job there. This is has a 6-speed transmission, so basically what they do is they're running the 1.6 turbo, and then you have the electric motor before the transmission so that they can work together. Just to try and explain the hybrid systems, because we do have, you know, vehicles that are fully electric, we have vehicles that are hybrid and plug-in hybrid. So just to explain the difference, obviously full electric, we don't have a combustion engine attached to it, so you are a full electric car. With the hybrids and the hybrid plug-in, you're gonna have a bigger battery pack to actually be able to run off full EV. Those ones generally will get around 50 to 70 kilometers of range with a plug-in hybrid, and then the hybrid version like we have here is really just gonna look at it as a just hyper fuel efficient engine where they both work together to make it as fuel efficient as possible. And like I said, you can run just that mini little bit of full EV like we're running right here. The way the hybrid system works is essentially we need to look at it as like a generator. So I have my gas engine which is basically generating power back into my battery, and that's how we kind of look at it. You know, a lot of people have this concern with that I have hybrids have two systems, so I have to worry about much more maintenance. The best thing with electric cars is there is no maintenance. There is no oil changes and things like that, so it actually isn't really a deterrent or really a negative factor to it at all. It's just, again, making it a very, very fuel efficient vehicle. Dual climate control, heated seats in the front, heated steering wheel, power on the driver's seat. The rest is all manual. You know, I would consider this, you know, one of their base models, but the one nice thing that Hyundai and Kia do is that they are really strong with putting a lot of options in their base stuff. So we still have the big 12.3 inch screen here with all their infotainment stuff. What they also do in pretty much all their cars now, right from the bottom base model, is they're running Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wireless, as well as we have in this particular one a wireless charging unit for our phones. When you go into the calligraphies, you actually can get a dual setup on this. I'm pretty sure I can see the pad that's on here. I wouldn't be surprised if you could upgrade this and jump in and have a secondary phone charger there. This one does have, you know, your traditional style reverse camera. When you get into the other ones, then you're going to jump into that 360 camera view and some parking assist options. Just gonna go through some of the drive modes here. So like I was saying, Eco Sport, you can go from 100% front wheel drive to a rear biased in the back. When we're running in my drive is gonna really change, be more custom to how you like it. You can actually change the pedal feel on this, the brake pedal feel. So in the Eco, I do find it's slightly a little bit soft, but then when you go into Sport, it does firm it up a bit, so it must boost the pressure in the braking system. So in Sport mode, instantly RPM kind of jumps up a bit, and we're really going to change the calibration of the transmission. So this 6-speed is going to allow me to rev slightly higher. Max RPM is 6,000 RPM. Sport, a little bit more active, does change the steering, makes it a little bit stiffer, gives a little sportier kind of feel. Just gonna go on the highway here. I'm gonna put it in Eco, drop it down, make it as fuel efficient as possible. So you do have a adaptive cruise control where we can change and gauge our distance, but you also have a lane assist. If I push that once and I go cruise control, and I can adjust my cruise off the dial here, you can actually do a true hands-free driving. So you know, a lot of these systems when they first came out, they tend to really like bounce, you know, from line to line, and they're really hard to adjust themselves. I can feel this one micro adjusting slightly, but it does stay quite center lane, and it's not telling me to put my hands on the steering wheel. As it hits bumps or kind of moves around a little bit, it will tend to say, you know, put your hands back on the steering wheel. Works quite well. We notice it just dropped into EV, so now I'm running full EV, adaptive cruise with the lane assist as well. The problem nowadays is as we keep implementing these new driving aids and you know, autonomous driving, we really are losing the art of driving, right? Okay, so we're gonna exit off the highway here. I'm just gonna put it into sport mode here. And in sport mode, I no longer have the regeneration. I would like to see that added to it, to be able to have the regeneration, because I do tend to like the feel of how it decelerates like that. But in sport mode now, I can activate the paddle shifter, and where I can shift and downshift to create that compression. I don't know if people really use that much, but you know, as I drive through here, I can accelerate, get full RPM. It will shift for you, so even if I don't shift, it will do it. But you know, it does give it a sportier feel. The way this car feels though, it's, you know, for a big SUV, this is seven passenger, the dynamics of it, the way it feels, has a little bit of roll. Obviously it's a big heavy car, but feels solid on the road, feels super planted. Suspension is a little bit on the stiff side, probably on, you know, for the weight of it, but is taking the bumps pretty well. Obviously everyone knows that our roads here in Quebec are absolute crap, so we need some compliance. It is a 20-inch wheel. When I'm in the Tiptronic, if I wanted to cancel out of it, I can just press and hold the right side, and it will automatically go back to the drive mode. This is not a sports car, and that is not the intention behind it, but when we can have a little bit more spirited driving in there, it can give a better feel as we drive. So then when I go to my drive modes and terrain modes, if I push the button to terrain and I go into snow, now we're really going to change the distribution of power. This, in the snow mode, it can actually go from 80-20 to a 50-50 power split. So that's obviously going to be dependent on slip and power delivery. So right now we're a little bit more front wheel drive. If I do an Excel, it will drive more power to the rear, and then as it kind of progresses, it will stay more to the front wheel drive. If I go into a mud version, the mud version, now we're going to have a full 50-50 split. This is more the types of vehicles I like to drive. This gives it a little bit, you know, more dynamic to the car, so it can run a full 50-50 split in the mud mode itself. And when we're in sand, it's going to do the same thing. So in these mud, sand, and other terrains, it's really the programming of the transmission is going to change, and it's really going to change our shifting points again, but it's also the calibration of how it's delivering and distributing power. I'm going to do a couple different XL pulls here. So I'm going to do so sport mode, 0 to 60, EV, nothing's running, full power. Yeah, shifts good, nice and smooth shifts. Don't feel that transition as it kicks in. Feels really, really nice. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the terrain modes again, and I'm going to go into snow, and I'm going to do a full XL off snow. And we can see in the cluster how it's distributing power by the little gauge there. So full throttle, ooh, pretty big delay, full 50-50 power, and excels. Yeah, definitely not as exciting or as prime, as active as the sport mode, especially in the way it shifts and the way it's delivering power there. So it makes it a little bit smoother. There was quite a bit of pedal delay as I accelerated. So now I'm just gonna go into mud. This is going to be a real full true 50-50 split, and go. Still delay, adds in, shifts first gear, oh, little bobble there, and third gear does not want to shift. It's kind of holding RPM. I get off throttle and then it shifts. So looks like we might have a little bit of a calibration bug in there. I'm just wondering whether that's purposely done or not. I'm just going to try it again. So again, mud, 50-50 power split, full XL, takes off pretty decent. Shift, ooh, not shifting really nice in the second, and then yeah, we definitely have something going on. It's like holding that gear. and then I just let off slightly, and then it's shifting out. So I'm not quite sure why that's doing that. What we're gonna try is maybe putting it into the sand mode. So in the sand mode, again, calibration should be slightly different. 50-50 weight split, full stop. Let's see how it works. Okay, second gear is odd. And we got the same little setup in third gear. There's a possibility that the way that they've programmed it is to hold that gear for wheel spin, but I'm getting 0 wheel spin whatsoever, and it's in third gear only. So to me, it tells me something may be wrong there. Even when it's shifting into second, it has a little bobble, almost like a little hiccup, trying to find its gear, find its spot. So something happening there with the transmission. You know, one thing with these cars is they do the updates and things like that. Maybe there is a little bug in there, and they will potentially check that out and fix it. I'm gonna go back to snow and see if it's gonna do the same thing. No, nice smooth shift into second, smooth shift into third. So it really is in those modes, which could have something to do with because it is changing the power distribution, but there should be no reason why it should not shift into third gear there. I'm not doing anything dramatic with the car. All right, so just gonna conclude here. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna try and do these videos short, nothing too intense or long, just to kind of give a good impression of how I feel the vehicle performs. So let me know in the comments what other kind of stuff you guys want to see. This is the first one I've done, so thanks again for watching the 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid. I really want to thank Hyundai Canada for giving me the opportunity. I'm not a social media guy, something I'm just trying out and getting involved in, just to give a little different approach, more on the mechanical engineering side and a driver's perspective. Really looking forward to getting into some other vehicles as the summer comes into play here. And again, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like and make a comment. Let me know what you guys want to see in the future. Peace out.